In a season of America's Got Talent, already filled with breathtaking moments and unbelievable surprises, no one expected that one of the most powerful performances would come from a quiet Filipino kid who stepped onto the stage with nothing but humility in his eyes, and the Philippine flag gently stitched onto the side of his jacket, details small enough to miss, but meaningful enough to say everything about who he was and what he carried with him. As the lights dimmed and the crowd murmured with curiosity, this young boy, barely 12, with a voice still shaped by innocence, but guided by a sense of responsibility far beyond his age, stood at the center of one of the world's most intimidating stages. From the moment he walked out, the atmosphere shifted. Simon Cowell leaned forward. Howie raised his brows. Sophia smiled warmly, and Heidi gave him that encouraging nod that countless performers before him had clung to as their last bit of courage. But this boy wasn't trembling. He wasn't unsure. He looked calm, steady and ready, as though he understood something deeper than fame, deeper than competition, deeper than any golden buzzer. He understood that he was carrying the story of a nation. When Simon asked his name, the boy spoke softly, yet with a strength that immediately demanded respect. He said he was from the Philippines and that he wanted to sing something very important to him, something that represented his people. The judges were expecting a ballad, maybe a pop song, maybe even an emotional dedication to someone in his life. But when Simon asked what he would sing, the entire auditorium fell silent. As the boy answered Lupang Hinirang, the national anthem of the Philippines, a ripple of surprise moved across the room. Never in AGT history had someone stood proudly at the center of the stage to sing their country's national anthem. It wasn't just unusual, it was bold, brave, and powerful. Some audience members gasped, others whispered in confusion. But millions watching around the world would soon understand exactly why this performance would become one of the most unforgettable moments of the entire franchise. The music did not begin right away. There was no instrumental track. There was no cinematic arrangement. There was only silence, as the boy placed his hand over his chest in a simple, yet deeply meaningful gesture. Then, with the spotlight softening around him, he began to sing the opening lines of Lupang Hinirang. His voice, clear and steady, cut through the air like a sunrise spreading across mountains and seas. It was gentle but firm, emotional but controlled, glowing with pride yet built on pure respect. The audience, unsure at first, slowly quieted their restless shifting, fading into complete stillness. As he sang, something extraordinary began to unfold. It was the way he closed his eyes on certain phrases, as if remembering home, the streets he grew up in, the mornings filled with church bells, the laughter of neighbors, the scent of food from tiny curanderas by the roadside. It was in the way his voice lifted during the anthem's soaring lines, not with the theatrics of a performer seeking applause, but with the sincerity of a child who loved where he came from and wanted the world to understand that love. The melody echoed through the hall, carrying stories of resilience, of hardship, of triumph, of community, of the unbreakable spirit that Filipinos are known for. And while the boy sang, something else happened, something even he did not expect. Simon Cowell, known for his unshakable composure, sat straighter in his seat. His expression shifted from polite attention to genuine awe. It was subtle at first, a tightening in his jaw, a softening in his eyes, a moment of breath he held without realizing it. But as the boy reached the anthem's emotional climax, the part that speaks of offering one's life for the country, Simon's eyes glistened. It wasn't dramatic or exaggerated. It was quiet, honest, and deeply human. He was moved not just by the beauty of the boy's voice, but by the weight of the moment, the purity of the child's intention, and the realization that this was no ordinary performance. This kid wasn't trying to win a show. He was honoring his heritage. He was standing in front of the world and saying, "This is who I am, this is where I come from, and I am proud." The audience began to stand, row by row, as if compelled by something bigger than themselves. People from different backgrounds, different cultures, different beliefs, all rising together in respect. The anthem had become more than a song. It had transformed into a bridge that connected hearts, regardless of nationality. Even those who didn't understand the lyrics felt the emotion behind them, carried through the boy's voice, like a tide rising toward something magnificent. By the time he finished the last note, hanging in the air like a final breath of home, there was complete silence. Then all at once the room exploded into applause, so thunderous it felt like the walls themselves were shaking. Some audience members had tears rolling down their faces. Some were clutching their chests. Some simply clapped with their whole hearts, overwhelmed by what they had just witnessed. The boy lowered his hand, bowed deeply, and stood back. With the posture of someone who knew he had done something meaningful, Simon Cowell wiped the corner of his eye before speaking. He looked at the boy with that rare expression he only gives when he is truly moved. Soft, sincere, and full of respect. He said that in all his years on talent shows, he had never experienced anything like this. Never had a young performer brought the spirit of an entire nation onto the stage. So gracefully, never had someone delivered a song with such purity, humility, and emotional power. He told the boy that what he had done was more than a performance. It was a moment in history, how he followed by saying that he felt goosebumps, from the first word to the last, and that the boy had just taught the world. Something about the soul of the Filipino people. Heidi said his courage inspired her, and Sophia added that she had chills the entire time, and couldn't believe how someone so young could carry such heavy meaning with such grace. But the most unforgettable part came when Simon pressed his hand to his heart and said that the boy had reminded him of the importance of honoring one's roots, of remembering where you come from, and of sharing that proudly with the world. As the applause continued, the cameras cut to the audience. A group of Filipinos in the crowd waved small Philippine flags, crying openly, overwhelmed by pride. They had come to support him, but they did not expect to witness a moment that would resonate across nations. And then, without hesitation, Simon reached forward and hit the golden buzzer. Gold confetti burst into the air, shimmering like falling stars. The boy covered his mouth in shock, tears filling his own eyes. Now, this was not the kind of performance typically rewarded with a golden buzzer. There were no high notes designed to impress, no dramatic stage effects, no choir, no dance, no grand gesture, just a child, a song, and a nation. But that's exactly what made the moment so powerful. The golden buzzer was not just for his voice. It was for his courage, his authenticity, his pride, and the message he carried. Backstage, the boy's parents embraced him tightly. His mother, eyes red from crying, told him she had never been more proud. His father, holding back his emotions, whispered that he had not only honored the Philippines, but also honored his family, their history, their sacrifices. Video clips of the performance soon exploded across social media. Filipino communities worldwide shared it, with captions filled with pride. Even those who didn't know him personally felt like they were celebrating the victory of a son of the nation. International audiences were moved as well, commenting that they had never heard a national anthem performed with such emotion. Teachers played the clip in classrooms. News networks reported on it. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. People who had never visited the Philippines suddenly wanted to learn more about its culture, its history, and its people. In the days that followed, the boy became an unexpected symbol of Filipino pride. Interviewers asked him why he chose to sing the anthem. Instead of a typical AGT-style song, his answer was simple: because I wanted to show the world where I come from, and I wanted to make every Filipino proud. His sincerity touched even more hearts back home. Communities held gatherings to watch reruns of his audition. Families cheered as if watching a boxing match. Barangays set up projectors, and schools proudly played his performance. During morning flag ceremonies overseas, Filipino workers felt a surge of homesickness mixed with pride, many crying as they watched him bring a piece of home to an American stage. The story of this small boy reminded the world that talent is not just about technique. It is about meaning. It is about heart. It is about the courage to represent something bigger than yourself. As the competition progressed, the boy continued to perform. With the same humility and emotional depth, he chose songs that told stories of hope, unity, and resilience. He became a favorite among viewers, not because of theatrics, but because of sincerity. And Simon Cowell, who rarely shows softness, repeatedly praised him for staying grounded and pure. The night of the finals came with anticipation thick in the air. Though he did not sing the anthem again, the echoes of that moment still followed him, shaping the narrative of his journey. And no matter the final outcome, he had already created a legacy. His audition was destined to become one of the most replayed, most discussed, and most celebrated moments in AGT history years from now. People would still remember the Filipino kid who stood boldly, sang his national anthem with unwavering pride, and moved an entire world with nothing but the truth of who he was. He had reminded everyone that music is more than entertainment. It is identity, it is heritage, it is emotion, and sometimes it is the strongest voice a person can have. And so long after the confetti settled and the lights dimmed, the story of this Filipino boy continued to travel across oceans, across cultures, across hearts, carrying with it the same message he brought to the AGT stage, that pride in one's nation is not about borders, but about love. That home is something you carry no matter where you stand, and that even the softest voice can shake the world. When it speaks the truth, his name became a symbol not just of talent, but of identity, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of the Filipino people. And as the world looked back on that night, on the stage, on the silence, on the emotion rising from a single child's voice, they realized why Simon Cowell, the man known for his hardness and precision, had tears in his eyes, because in that moment, through that anthem, through that child, everyone in the room had witnessed something rare, the pure, powerful, and unforgettable beauty of a nation's pride, shining through a single human being.